There are business leaders that are making so much more than profit in their enterprises. They're elevating their businesses, teams, and themselves to add more value. And so can you. Welcome to the Chris Cooper Business Elevation Show with host Chris Cooper. If you were looking for ways to elevate success while contributing to a better world, you'll want to listen in for the next hour. Now here's your host, Chris Cooper.
Welcome to the Business Elevation Show, and a very unusual start this morning with the sound of morning prayers that I heard on the 17th of December in Konya in Turkey, when I was on something of a Turkish quest to find out more about Rumi and how this 13th century philosopher, poet and author is still impacting the world today, and to learn about some of these lessons that can impact our self-development and our businesses in the 21st century. Now, this is someone who the likes of Bob Dylan, Madonna, Coldplay refer to him as a real influence, and Persian rappers refer to him in their songs. I needed to discover a little bit more about this man and why he's still so important to many people around the world. In fact, his poetry is deemed to be some of the most famous poetry in America, and actually in some years he's the most purchased poet in America. Yet he lived in the 13th century. Now, during December of 2019, I accepted a very unusual invitation from the founder of the Diplomatic Business Club, the Diplomatic Business Magazine, and international lawyer Dr. Malik, to travel with him to Konya in central Turkey. At the time, when I told my wife and friends, I started to question myself when they asked me questions like, is Turkey safe? One client said, have you got hostage insurance? Another said, you're going to find out about who? You're going the week before Christmas? What if you get stuck and your flights are delayed and you miss your family celebrations? On reflection, one point proved to be correct. The experience turned out to be incredible, though due to fog, I did find myself stranded an extra 2 days in Turkey and just made it back a couple of days before another kind of turkey was sitting on the Christmas table. Over these two radio shows, there'll be a part 1 and a part 2, I want to share with you more about the world of Rumi and let you listen to some very interesting people that I had the opportunity to interview to find out more. The key influence for me going was Dr. Malik. He was somebody I'd met and had interviewed on the show on the subject of leading with love. And that had received an incredible number of inspiring comments from India, Pakistan, the United Kingdom, the United States, Iran, and messages that I hadn't expected. Messages like, this is the interview of the year. And I think what appealed to people was the message of coming together as one across divides to solve world problems. That was really inspiring. When Dr. Malik invited me, I also wanted to understand how this man ticked. Why Rumi was such an influence for him. And he makes this trip to Konya each year when he can to experience the whirling dervishes and the ceremony that surrounds the celebrations of Rumi's life that occur every year on national television. I discovered that Mansour's warmth and infectious energy, combined with his deep Islamic faith and his love of the principles and lessons from the life of Rumi, also transpires into an incredible ability to attract amazing people into his world. People like foreign diplomats, members of royal households, senior business people have been under his spell. And his work has claimed accolades from the likes of Buckingham Palace. There I was, awakening to those morning prayers on the 17th of December on the 13th floor of the Novotel in Konya. And I thought it would be good just to record a little bit of that to get you into the mood. So let me tell you a little bit about the visit. Due to Mansour's connections, I attended the 746th annual Mevlana celebrations. Mevlana is the name of Rumi in the East. He's referred to as Rumi mostly in the West. I'll tell you more about that soon. As we sat in our seats with Turkish and foreign diplomats, there was a constant flash of paparazzi photographers pointing their cameras at members of the Turkish parliament in attendance. The highlight for me, though, wasn't the official or government speeches that I didn't understand, but the whirling dervishes whose world care and great skill. Their beliefs based upon the teachings of Rumi, being that whirling brings you closer to Allah. Every little gesture and movement signifying something, such as taking off a layer of clothing, which for example is perceived as shedding the ego. It was clear that this man was absolutely revered in Turkey. During the trip, Mansour and I also visited the Rumi Cultural Centre in Konya, the resting place of Rumi, and I walked into this incredible tomb. This beautiful place was full of what I can only describe as religious tourists, people in little groups talking together and praying, and just being part of this incredible energy that exists there. Now, I don't come from a religious background, yet I could not fail to be impacted by this energy. It was uplifting, it was peaceful, it was energizing. You know, you've maybe visited some places yourself where you've felt this energy. And it's interesting, in the works of Rumi, Rumi saw people as having almost their own sun inside them. The sun that enables us to light up and energize and give warmth to others when we access it. I can only liken the kind of shift in mood that I felt, that occurred just as my father died in my presence. The energy, though not one of sadness at all, but of peace. But here afterwards, I had to say I had a great feeling of elation as well. During this following to this programme, and also part 2, you will hear interviews. Today with the Honourable Essene Celebi Beyru, a 22nd generation relative of Rumi and the head of the International Mevlana Foundation. You could tell by the people who were visiting her what an honour it was to be in her presence. Also Fahri Ozakil, the head of the whirling dervishes, the man I'd seen the night before in an arena, standing there with the whirling dervishes on national TV. A hugely honourable and highly revered position in Turkey. In the second episode, the general manager of the Novotel and Ibis in Konya. And you'll be fascinating to find out, I think, is how they use Rumi to help them deliver exceptional customer service. Well, also in the next episode, listening live, this will be next week. If you're not, you can just access it from the archive. There will also be Dr. Malik himself and his take. As I say, Rumi has helped him build an exceptional network of ambassadors, members of royal households and senior business people across the globe. Before we do that, let me share a little bit about Rumi himself. During his life, Mevlana Saladin-i Rumi, or as he's known in the East, Mevlana, and Rumi in the West, in his lifetime became a poet, an author, and a distinguished leader, someone who, when he died, people lined the streets, people of multi-faith, to celebrate his life. And such as I've mentioned, They've been celebrating his death and his life for 746 years. Imagine in your life if you could have that kind of impact on people, and 746 years into the future, your life was a shining example of how to live to many people. He was born in 1207 in the city of Belth, Khorasan, which at the time was inhabited by Turkish tribes and remains today within the boundaries of Afghanistan. His mother was the daughter of a sovereign ruler, the ruler of Belth, and his father was the chief scholar. Now, with the probability of a Mongol invasion, his father chose to desert his hometown, accompanied by his entire family. Their migration was well in excess of 1,000 miles. I guessed maybe horseback, maybe on foot, but a long journey. To Sydney, and I believe that Rumi was only maybe 6 years old at that stage. They travelled via Baghdad, Mecca, Medina, Damascus, Karaman, and in 1228 they arrived in Konya upon the invitation of the Seljuk emperor. Later in life, Mevlana had 2 sons, and years later, after his wife passed away, he married again and had 2 more children, another son and daughter. Now, his childhood was taken up by attending his father's lessons from a very early age, learning Turkish and Arabic, Persian, common Greek as well as classical Greek, and he studied other religions along with Islam, which probably means that understanding of the other religions was why so many people revered him. He studied subjects ranging from history to medicine. He received this education from his father and also top scholars of the time. And later he taught hundreds of students in theological universities called madrasas. A key part of his story was befriending Sems-i Tabrizi, who was in search of another fellow acquaintance to match his own scholarly wisdom and to enjoy his company. Sems and Mevlana focused intensely on endless poetry recitals and whirling rituals, which are today continued by whirling dervishes, with this spiritual soulmate. However, jealousy was aroused among Mevlana's students. Unjust rumours were spread against Sems, who was offended and then fled for Damascus. Mevlana was deeply sad. He secluded himself from his friends and wrote many verses, which were read in something called the Divan-i-Kabir. Now, the histories of this situation has expressed remorse at his sadness and went to Damascus and brought Sems back. Yet jealousy arose once more. This time Sems disappeared altogether. Some believe his tomb is in Konya. However, some believed he deserted the city. Some believed he was murdered. This still remains a mystery. At this stage, again impacted by his friend's disappearance, he started writing an ocean of poetic and prose work, still widely acclaimed 7 centuries later, and read today in Greek world and in translations in places like Turkey, Azerbaijan, prolifically in the United States and South Asia. His poetry has influenced Persian literature, it's influenced traditions across Ottoman Turkish, Urdu, Pashto languages, and became the most popular poet and best-selling poet in the United States. His work includes hundreds of short stories, 200 in something called the Masnavi, which he wrote. And he refers to subjects like gender equality and oneness. He wrote from the perspective of the lowest to the highest in society. He was loved across ritual, religious divide. He said if you take an elephant or one religion may touch the ear, another the leg, another the trunk. They are, however, touching an element of the truth that love conquers all. They were all a part of the same thing. He was a great musician, and his poetry has great rhythm within it. Perhaps again why musicians love his work. Some of his quotes, some of them may be confusing, others are very relevant to us in business today and helpful. Some have described his work like, there's complexity in it, yet sometimes you read something and it's like a firework going off, or a comet is randomly cast amongst all this thinking. There's a fountain inside you. Don't walk around with an empty bucket. How you make others feel about themselves says a lot about you. And doesn't it? Isn't that true still today? Everyone has been made for some particular work, and the desire for that work has been put in every heart. Listen up.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
Here's something you might be interested in. Orgain's grants for greater good. Orgain is giving away $150,000 in grant money. If you're a startup business working in nutrition, mind-body wellness, or promoting healthy lifestyles, listen up. If you're like me, you'll know that it can be very challenging to start your own business. And having the right support and more money to work with can only help. And that's where Orgain comes in. Orgain's a brand that makes convenient and clean nutrition products, founded by Dr. Andrew Abraham, who has a very inspiring story. He developed an original nutritional shake during his fight to beat cancer in his teens to help nourish himself. He realised he wanted to share his recipe with the world, quit his job as a doctor, and founded Orgain. Andrew knows from first-hand experience that people are changing the market one idea at a time. But often these ideas just don't have the financial support to get off the ground, and he wants to pay it forward. Orgain will choose 3 deserving startups and grant them $50,000 each to help elevate their business to the next level. To apply for the programme, your startup needs to be 2 years or older and in the business of promoting healthy, vibrant lives through nutrition, active lifestyles or mindfulness. The application period ends March the 20th, so if you think you're a good fit, please visit orgain.com/grants today to learn more.
Would you like to work personally with the host of this show to help realise your potential? Chris Cooper supports business leaders and high potential individuals to achieve greater success in their businesses and careers. Support includes the opportunity to join a high-return group mentoring and mastermind program called the Achiever Program. One-to-one mentoring and coaching, facilitated leader development team workshops and speeches. Email info@bemoreachievemore.com to arrange a free, no-obligation consultation to see how Chris and his team can help you.
I want to mention my friends at FreshBooks. FreshBooks are a sponsor of the show, which is greatly appreciated because the costs of running this show have been immense over the 8.5 years that I've done this. But I've contributed at my own cost because I wanted to add value to people beyond my clients and help people to develop and grow, and it all fits within the purpose of my life. But with FreshBooks' help, it makes a small contribution towards the cost of running this show, and because they have a great product, then it's not a discomfort to share that information with you. So I wonder, do you remember when you started your small business? Because we're talking about something here that's helpful for small businesses, and it's, I'm sure, no small feat. It took a lot of having nights and early mornings, takes the occasional all-nighter, and bottom line, you've probably been insanely busy if you've done this ever since. So why not make life a little bit easier? And our friends at FreshBooks have the solution. FreshBooks invoicing and accounting software is designed for small business owners. It's simple, it's intuitive, keeps you way more organised than having that dusty shoebox filled with lots of crumpled receipts. You can send professional looking invoices in 30 seconds, get them paid twice as fast with automated online payments. File expenses even quicker, keep them perfectly organised for your tax time. And the best part of it is that FreshBooks grows alongside your business, and you'll always have the tools you need when you need them without ever having to learn the ins and outs of accounting. So join 24 million people who've used FreshBooks. Try it free for 30 days, no catch, no credit card required. So go to freshbooks.com/elevation and enter the Business Elevation Show in the How Did You Hear About Us section to get started. And if this is of interest to you, please do add and enter the Business Elevation Show, and then they'll be aware that you've found out about it from here, and it just triggers that this is a good show to help to support. So thank you very much.
Have you friended us on Facebook yet? Why not? Just go to facebook.com/Voice America or search for the keywords Voice America. Once you are part of our Facebook network, you'll receive daily messages about what's happening with our shows, this week's featured guests, and new happenings at the Voice America Talk Radio Network. And you can add your voice to the always active discussions on our timeline. Just go to facebook.com/Voice America or search for Voice America.
You are tuned into the Business Elevation Show with your host, Cooper. If you have a question or comment about our show, please direct your emails to chris@chriscooper.co.uk. That's chris@chriscooper.co.uk. Now back to Chris Cooper.
Okay, this is Chris Cooper of the Business Elevation Show, and I'm absolutely delighted today to be sitting with some wonderful people at the International Mevlana Foundation. And I'd like to introduce the Honourable Dr. Essine Chalabi Bairu. Thank you. It's lovely to have you here today. You're a very special person. You're the 22nd generation of... Okay, this is Chris Cooper of the Business Elevation Show, and I'm absolutely delighted today to be sitting with some wonderful people at the International Mevlana Foundation. And I'd like to introduce the Honourable Dr. Essine Bairu. Thank you. It's lovely to have you here today. You're a very special person. You're the 22nd generation of Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi,
yes,
correct? And the Vice President of the International Mevlana Foundation. So I wonder if you could maybe start by just telling us a little bit about you and what it's like to be you, because I've not met anybody before, so I just love to hear in your own words what was life like for you growing up and with this legacy of Rumi in your family.
A lot of people, they ask me, how do you know you are the 22nd generation
Yes.
of Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi? I know this because after him, his son Sultan Veled and his grandson Ulu Arif Çelebi, they bring this road, Mevlevi Tariqa. And Mevlevi, and they open some school to teach this knowledge, which Hazreti Mevlana gave to humanity, this knowledge to generation to generation. They give the lessons in these schools, and where Selçuklu Empire went, where Ottoman Empire went, they open schools at that place. And they all lead from Konya, and they always choose one from the same blood. And because of this, they wrote all of them, and then because of this, I know who am I, and I am the 22nd generation of Mevlana Rumi. And they wrote all of them his tomb is in Turkey, in Konya, and there is one museum there, and our family tree is there. They can see if they want to know more.
Yes.
They can see it there.
So you're the chosen one.
Yeah. And I'm very happy because all of our grandmothers and fathers, all of them, they teach us to serve this blood. You are carrying very important blood and you must serve to this blood. The meaning of this to share all the knowledge with all the world, humanity. And Alhamdulillah, we are doing this. Our grandfathers, grandmothers, they learn this knowledge and they share this knowledge to humanity. And now we are going to continue this. And we are 5, 1 brother, and now he is our leader, and 4 sisters. We all working in International Mevlana Foundation, and our children and grandchild too. And I'm happy to say this because they are small, 10 years old, 12 years old, but mashallah, they are preparing some speech and they share this at their school with friends.
Great.
Yes.
Excellent. So, and so, on what ways do you sort of reach with the message? How are you reaching out to people around the world in your work?
He's doing this.
Yes.
Not doing
you're
this.
You're the vehicle today.
And some of them, they are reading some poems from his books, or going to Sema ceremony, and they want to learn more about that. And some musics are getting on this way them to read and to understand more and more. And interesting, some of them they saw in their dreams, and they saw one person, and when they going to have a trouble, and this person in their dream gave them the solution of this trouble, and then they made this and they're happy. So they are going to share who is he, from where can we find this person, and then somehow, I don't know what they saw some pictures, and in his time there is no photograph, there is there is some miniatures, and they saw this, and then they began to learn more about him. And sometimes they are coming to Konya or Istanbul to find us, of course, to visit his tomb, and then they are important, right? They find us and they learn more and more, or they are invited us at their place, and we are going there to give a lecture, or with Sema group to show them what is Sema. And Sema is very important because everything is turning, and in Mevlevi tradition, this is like ceremony to clean their soul. All ceremony, there is the meaning of everything in Sema ceremony, and all of them giving us to how can we clean our soul. And Semazen, who turning person, when they are turning, they said the name of God when they are turning. Allah, Allah, Allah.
Yes. Can I just explain that the Sema ceremony is a ceremony with Sufi whirling dervishes, which many of you may have heard of, and that's why Madame Chalabi is talking about the turning and the symbolism of it. And last night we had the privilege of attending the ceremony, which involved the Sema sort of element of it, and we observed the whirling dervishes doing this most beautiful movement. What I found, one of the things I found fascinating was this was the 746th annual ceremony, which is just incredible, of this life of this amazing. I just wonder, what are the things do you think that that Rumi wrote about all those years ago that you think are just so important to life today, and why this has lived on for so long?
Hazreti Mevlana'nın bunca yıl içerisinde, yani 746. yılı kutlandı. Onu önemli kılan nedir? Bunca yıl sonra hala hatırlanabilir ve bu kadar ihticamla anılır konu.
He take all the knowledge from Quran Kerim and Hadith, what Prophet Muhammad said, and he looked from the love window, we can say this, and love is very important, and he gave us how can we be happy? How can we love ourselves? And if you know yourself, you love yourself. Because when you are looking for how can we know ourselves, I have only one question. That is, what God give you a gift? And this is only one question. You can take one notebook and you can write all of them. You finish one notebook, and you can buy another one and another one, because God every moment giving a gift to us. And then we know who we are, why we are in this world. And that time we love ourselves, not ego, but God created us to know Him and to love Him. And from this we can know ourselves and love ourselves too. And all the prophets and all the, we say veli, and in English you say saints, all of them, they gave us how can we be happy. And this is not pardon. Zor değil.
This is not hard.
Yes.
To know ourselves is not hard. To be happy is not hard way. And if we put our material life and spiritual life on balance, we'll be happy.
So I think what I'm understanding as well from that is, particularly to a sort of business audience, is that the important thing, as a leader, maybe as a human being, is to understand yourself and love yourself, and I think that enables you to also love others. And I think what I'm also gaining from this conversation with Madame is humility. Is that there is something very special about humility that has a big impact on other people, and a quality in business that is very, very important. Do you agree? How would you? I mean, Rumi is hugely popular today around the world, and his poetry is and his writings. There's an ocean of material and content out there, and people are enjoying it all over the world. What do you think what would you love to see in terms of how Rumi's teachings?
Of course, we must read his books,
Yeah.
and we can find all the questions of ourselves and all the answers of our questions inside of his words. And when we are reading, it's good for us. And I saw a lot of people, they want to learn this, and they have one
Inspire.
They have one inspire in their heart.
Yes.
When they read one of his poem, and then they are beginning to understand this with their mind. Heart and mind be together, working together, and then when they learn more and more, they fell in love, divine love. Mevlana, when he said love, we understand this is divine love. And he said, all loves get you to divine love.
I think I heard someone sort of describe his work, when you're reading his work, as almost like you see moments in it that are like fireworks or, a comet. Suddenly something makes sense.
Yes.
That maybe you've missed, and I think what you're talking about there are special moments in that work which suddenly mean something to people, and they get a new insight, and they change. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you today, and to share a little bit about the International Mevlana Foundation and the work of Rumi and your work. It's been a great honour to talk with you today. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And is there a way, if people want to find out more about the foundation, is there a way for them to find out, to contact, or?
Of course,
is there
maybe.
Is there a number on that? Yeah, okay. Or is there a website?
Yes.
So if you go to www.mevlana, that's MEVLANA.net, there's information on there that you can find, and you can find out ways to contact people. I'd also like to say a thank you to Layla Al-Khan as well for just interpreting, not that it was needed greatly, and also to Dr. Mansour Malik of the Diplomatic Business Club for his very kind work. Your sections are very generous, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Following the conversation with Essine Celebi Beirut, I felt really kind of privileged to have spent the time with her and the people who work at the foundation, and to hear of the good work that they do. But also, I got a real sense that Rumi was about love and connectedness, and I really felt that genuine kind of love from her, and personality and sunshine. And this, I think, created, although she's quite a quiet lady, it created a real magnetic personality, and someone it felt a privilege and an honour to be with. As I was saying goodbye, she asked me if I wanted to select a card from a number of cards on her desk, which I did, and the card said, if you count 100 apples or 100 quinces, they do not remain 100, but become one when you crush them together. I took that to mean that there are so many of us on this planet, but it does feel that as nations and as people, if we are to help this planet, we need to come together more as one. As we come together, we get closer and we can solve many of the world's challenges. If we're in companies and organisations coming together, bringing your teams together, bringing your leadership together, to creating a culture that is vibrant and engaging and feels more like one, can only mean one thing: greater happiness at work and greater success. After the break, I'll introduce you to Fakhri Özkakul, the head of the Whirling Dervishes. Back with you in just a couple of minutes.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
Would you like to work personally with the host of this show to help realize your potential? Chris Cooper supports business leaders and high potential individuals to achieve greater success in their businesses and careers. Support includes the opportunity to join a high return group mentoring and mastermind program called the Achiever Program. One-to-one mentoring and coaching, facilitated leader development workshops and speeches. Email info@bemoreachievemore.com to arrange a free, no-obligation consultation to see how Chris and his team can help you.
Have you friended us on Facebook yet? Why not? Just go to facebook.com/Voice America or search for the keywords Voice America. Once you are part of our Facebook network, you'll receive daily messages about what's happening with our shows, this week's featured guests, and new happenings at the Voice America Talk Radio Network. And you can add your voice to the always active discussions on our timeline. Just go to facebook.com/Voice America or search for Voice America.
You are tuned into the Business Elevation Show with your host, Chris Cooper. If you have a question or comment about our show, please direct your emails to chris@chriscooper.co.uk. That's chris@chriscooper.co.uk. Now back to Chris Cooper.
Hi, this is Chris Cooper of the Business Elevation Show, and I'm delighted to be today with a very, very special guest. I'm with Fahri Özkul, who is the head of the Whirling Dervishes in Konya in Turkey. And I'm also delighted to have Tuba with me, who's also going to do a little bit of translation for us as well. So thank you. So how do you become the head of the Whirling Dervishes?
Nasıl diyor derviş oldunuz?
Ben küçük yaşlardan itibaren babamın da semazen olması münasebetiyle çocuk yaşlardan itibaren.
He interested in the whirling dervishes and the sema ceremony when he was a child,
Right.
when he was the only child. And he took education in 1972 with his father, and it's a kind of a course. And after that, nearly 47 years, he was a semazan. He was a whirling dervish.
Okay.
For now, he is the head of the whirling dervishes.
He's the head of the Sema Whirling Dervishes, which is a very, very revered position here in Turkey. Just want to sort of ask, how long does it take for a whirling dervish to train?
Kaç yılda diyor semazen olabilirsiniz? Yani kaç yıl sürüyor bir semazen olmak için diyor ortalama?
Aslında tabii ki insanın kabiliyetine göre değişebilir ama
It's bound with your ability, but approximately at the end of the 6 months, you will be a semazen.
Okay.
But it is not ordinary whirling. Because if you want to be a real semazen, real whirling dervishes, you need to take education from Mevlana and his philosophy. You must take education, that is. Because to be a whirling dervishes is not ordinary things for us.
Yes, okay. What I noticed last night was a lot of sort of qualities within the dance, which are, I think, very important to people to be successful in the world. What is the purpose of being a whirling dervish, and what are some of the qualities that it teaches us?
What is the purpose of?
What are the qualities?
Semazen olmanın amacı nedir?
semazen tabii ki aslında semanın ne olduğuna bir bakmak lazım aslında. Yani insanlar ne için sema? Bunu öncelikle belki bakmak lazım.
We can start. What is sema?
Yes.
We should know that sema is a kind of a way to reach Allah.
Okay.
Bounded with Mevlana, Jalaluddin Rumi. Because before the Sufism schools in Anatolia, Mevlana lived in here. And also he aimed to reach Allah with a mature man. And he chose to whirl around himself to reach Allah. And it reflected Mevlana''s philosophy. And after Mevlana, his close friends and his family decided to build a kind of a Sufism schools. We called that Mevlevi tarikats. Tarikats, it's meaning that a way to reach Allah. Okay. And Mevlevi person, to follow the Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi's way, decided to use that way to reach Allah.
Right. Okay. The thing you're reaching Allah through the Sema. I also see qualities that are very admirable. There's peace and meditation. There's exercise. There's a relaxed intensity. There's teamwork. What qualities are helpful in the outside world to maybe business people?
First, we can say that for the modern times, Sema and Sufism is a kind of lifestyle.
Yes.
And if you choose this lifestyle, you should learn some special things about Mevlana and Mevlana's philosophy. And you should live like Mevlana. Okay.
We should live like Mevlana. Yes.
Yeah, you're right. But in modern times, maybe we can say it is impossible because they lived like a dervish, and they far away from any other world things in modern times. But now it is impossible, I think. But you can follow by making Sema. His way, and because Sema is a kind of zikr called Allah.
Excellent. So if you live this way, you choose to be like Mevlana, and then you go out into the outside world and you embody some of his qualities. What are the particularly important qualities that we should?
Yani hani bunun bir şeyi var mı? Hani dışarıdan birisi sema etmeyi öğrenebilir mi? Ya da bunun için nasıl bir yeteneğe sahip olması gerekiyor?
Tabii aslında herkes sema edebilir. Herkesin sema etmesini de isteriz. Ama bu işe gönül vermesi lazım. Yani dışarıdan birisine zorla gel sema et demek tabii ki mümkün olmayacak.
He told that if you want to be whirling dervishes, you no need any special skills. And you can be a whirling dervishes, you should be a volunteer. But you should live your religion's life, private life, according to the Islamic religion.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, what I saw, having the privilege to be at the Sema last night, I saw qualities when I observed the Sema of amazing sort of coordination, a sense of peace, relaxed intensity, respect. There was love for the bigger picture. In this context, is Allah. There was a closeness between the members of the Sema. There was kind of rhythm and working together and commitment and teamwork and beauty and great control and self-awareness and timing. And I think these qualities we can learn and be inspired by the Sema to go out into the world by observing them so that we can be better in life and better in the way that we run our businesses. That sort of was one of my takes on observing yesterday. There's a lot of admirable qualities that are very inspiring for people to help them lead their lives a lot better. So you don't need to translate all of that, but I'm just saying that for the interview. But it's been an absolutely wonderful privilege to have the opportunity to talk with you today, and thank you so much, Tuba, for such an amazing interpretation. So thank you.
You're welcome. Dediler ki en son işte biz dün sema törenini izledik. Onların arasında müthiş bir uyum vardı. Hani birbirleri arasındaki işbirliğini de çok güzel sağladıklarını gördük. Bu muhteşem bir şeydi bizim için, muhteşem bir tecrübeydi dedi ve teşekkür etti sizlere.
Ben teşekkür ediyorum geldikleri için, Konya'mızda gördüğümüz için, Konya'mıza geldikleri için, Hazreti Mevlana'yı, Sema'yı ve bu ihtifal haftasını oradaki dostlarımıza duyurmak için böyle bir aracı oldukları için de kendilerine teşekkür ediyoruz.
Thank you so much for your coming to Konya and the ceremony and visiting Konya and Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi, and we pleased to meet you.
So I hope you enjoyed this today and are interested to find out more about Rumi and about the experience that I had in Turkey and the things that I learned. And on next week's show, I will share 2 more interviews from this and conclude and share final thoughts and things. Mansour sent me a poem, so I'm going to read it out to you. It says, obviously from Rumi, don't plant anything but love. When you plant a tree, every leaf that grows will tell you. What you sow will bear fruit. So if you have any sense, my friend, don't plant anything but love. You show your worth by what you seek. Water flows to those who want purity. Wash your hands of all desires and come to the table of love. Do you want me to tell you a secret? And attract the most beautiful lover with their sweet smile and scent. If you let God weave the verse in your poem, people will read it forever. I've also created a blog post with photographs and things like that. If you want to find out more about that, go to chriscooper.co.uk and look in the news section, and then there you'll find the blog on this, and you can download it if you want to as well, and all of the content in there. And if you've got any questions or comments, send them to me at chris@chriscooper.co.uk.
We thank you for listening to the Chris Cooper Business Elevation Show. Please join your host, Chris Cooper, again next Friday at 8 a.m. US Pacific Time on the Voice America Business Channel. Be more. Achieve more.